All right, all right, all right. Oh, wait, that's a bad Matthew McConaughey impersonation. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that on these things. I don't know. But you are all going to really enjoy this episode. I got two industry leaders here. This organization that you're about to hear them talk about has been around for almost 70 years. And really, I know EVs get a lot of the hype, a lot of the press. I don't think people understand or maybe appreciate the role that diesel plays in our world, but I can tell everyone listening to this right now or watching, if you're using it, eating it, buying it, doing anything, I promise you a diesel engine or 10 probably touched it along its journey to that store that it got to you at. And that's really the reality of the world we live in today. Diesel's not going to go anywhere for a really, really long time. Anyone listening to this, even my kids, I got elementary age kids, even them listening to this, diesel will be around by the time they're gone from this earth. So it's going to be around for a long time. Associations like this is a great group. They really do a lot of good, helping a lot of people. I think you're going to learn something. So sit back and enjoy and let us know what you think. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the DL. I am your host, Tyler Robertson, the CEO and founder of Diesel Laptops. This is the podcast show. I get to talk about all the things I enjoy, and that is the diesel industry. And I brought two gentlemen on today who are in the middle, they're in the thick of the diesel industry. So I'm going to introduce you to two gentlemen here. They're both with Associate of Diesel Specialists, or ADS. So first of all, why don't I start with Scott Parker, who's the CEO? Why don't you just kind of give everyone a little bit of like who is ADS? Like give a little background here on yourself and ADS.
Absolutely. My name, again, thanks Tyler for having us here. My name is Scott Parker. I am the CEO of the Association of Diesel Specialists, ADS, as you mentioned. We are a trade association. We represent about 400 companies that are all involved in the diesel independent aftermarket. And they're in the United States and around the world. We have our coalition is built internationally. We were founded back in 1956 by five gentlemen that came together in Chicago that really, had post-World War II. There was a lot of independent companies that had experience coming out in the diesel sector and were servicing diesel. And they quickly realized that they needed to form a community. Anyway, you fast forward almost 70 years into the future. We'll be celebrating our 70th anniversary here in a few years. And that five companies that started the group, I mentioned, we're over 400 today. And our primary goal of what we do is we build that community for companies from around the country, around the world to come together to share information, to try to help grow their businesses, understand their threats, and also looking at opportunities and where they can go. And, as much as you hear some of the negative talk out there in the media that gets nice clicks, for the media, our new memberships as an organization were up 76% last year. That tells me that the diesel aftermarket is here, it's healthy, and it's here to stay.
Well, I can promise the audience we're going to talk about EVs. We can't have a conversation with companies with the name diesel in it without talking about EVs because they get all the hype, right, in the news and everything that we see going on. So we'll get into there for a second. But the other gentleman I want to introduce here is Paul Thoms. And Paul, I think a lot of people don't understand. I mean, you're the president here, but you have your own business as well. You're a member of ADS, but actively involved in it. Can you give a little background on yourself and your company?
Correct. Yes. Well, thank you for having us on, Tyler. This is a great opportunity to showcase our association and our business and our industry. So I've been in this industry since 1981. This is all I've known is the remanufacturing of diesel fuel injection components and turbochargers. A little background on diesel, just to tell you where we're at. The diesel engine was invented in 1896. The inline pump was invented by Robert Bosch and patented in 1927. That pump lasted and worked in that specific element up until about 1995 and 2000, when all of a sudden the emissions controls came out. And then there were electronic controls on injection pumps and rotary pumps with electronic controls because of the forces of emissions. Now, the government didn't say that we had to, come up with a different way. They just said that what comes out of the tailpipe needs to be regulated. And in order to do that, they used electronics, and they used full authority electronic controls on diesel fuel injection components. And eventually that made its way into common rail, where we can time precisely when the fuel is going into the engine. We can control up to 7 injection events per combustion time. It's really amazing what can be done now, and all of these changes have occurred with the association membership changing with them, and being a part of it and embracing changes. We're the Association of Diesel Specialists, but really we're powertrain specialists. We're involved not just in what goes into the engine, but what happens after it leaves that engine. That's part of what we do. We've adapted, we've adjusted, we've stayed abreast of all the changes in powertrains. And listen, EVs are just another change that we're going to adjust to.
So Scott, I think when we talk about diesel, I know over here at Diesel Laptops, we kind of, right or wrongly, we kind of put ours into 3 buckets. We have like the light duty diesel stuff, we got the heavy duty commercial truck stuff, and then we have the off-highway stuff. Is the association involved in all those areas, or do you guys predominantly hang out in one of those more so than the other?
That's a great question. It actually, I can't give you one answer to that. Being an association that, really covers the entire globe, diesel has different functions in different parts of the world, right? In North America, it's my understanding, that we're really talking about those work trucks, agriculture, construction type vehicles. That's really the heart and soul of what that looks like. You certainly get into, like, let's say Latin America or some of the European markets where there's more automotive applications there. Our members also play in that space. So I think it depends on where you go. But I would say probably our strongest membership base is U.S. and Canada right now, and so most of that is in kind of that medium to heavy duty construction ag type of equipment out there.
Well, and I know ADS has become more involved with HDAW, so it's really great this year. We're able to walk around and actually seeing a lot more vendors I haven't typically seen there before. So it was great to be able to network and learn more about the industry I'm in. I always say, like, I'm in the diesel industry and I grew up in commercial truck dealerships, but really we play in the off-highway world as much as we do the on-highway world. And I try like heck to stay away from the light duty, like more consumer type stuff. We keep getting drugged into it, which is fine. It's a good industry as well. So I guess, Paul, you were talking a little bit earlier. You guys were talking a little bit about, technology's changed, right? So this used to be just a diesel engine. And then really in the early 2000s, we started having all the emission stuff start happening. So how much have all the members had to adapt? And do you guys get into like the after treatment side of it as well, or do you kind of stay away from it and just focus on what's going on inside the engine?
Absolutely not. We're powertrain specialists, and we have people who are involved in the diesel particulate filter cleaning, the servicing of those, the sensors that are required, all of the components that are required, the dosing modules, everything. Our members are involved in that. We've changed to accommodate that because, listen, it's part of that diesel engine that used to be solely controlled by that diesel fuel injection pump injectors or common rail injectors. Now the rest of it's all part of the powertrain, and our members are involved in every aspect of that engine at this point.
Tyler, if I can just add one thing to that, I think Paul is right on. But one thing that we've realized the last couple of years, now that we're kind of post-COVID, right, where everybody was just like survival mode, we're now looking out there. The association, when it was originally founded, those 5 companies, they founded the association in their image, right? What did the industry look like back in 1956? It clearly looks different today. right now, and it will look different into the future. But the one thing that remains constant as far as ADS is we're a member-led association. And what we are trying to do is make sure that our association is like a mirror to the industry. Not that the industry has to try to become what we are. We need to make sure as the industry evolves, as the customers are coming in, they don't want to go into a facility and saying, oh, I need to get my injectors worked on, but I have to go to a different shop to go get my after treatment system worked on. No, they're looking for turnkey solutions. Our members are adapting as they always have and they always will, and the association is going to adapt with them. So we're on this journey together.
Well, talking about adaptation and change, right? So, I mean, you get an association here that's been around for almost 70 years, which is amazing in itself, right? Not a lot of organizations or companies are around that long. And, as Paul was talking, like, things have been changing a lot lately, right? And I'm sitting here thinking, like, man, I used to work for a commercial truck dealership, and like we were hardly kept up to notice by the OEM on what was changing. And now we service the aftermarket industry, and these guys are all struggling, just trying to figure out the latest gizmo and gadget and emission device or whatever is going on these trucks. So I guess, Paul, like, how have you guys done it at your company, trying to figure out as this new technology? Is it learning as you go? Is it work with manufacturers? Is it the group learning together? How do you guys figure out and keep up with all this change? And that change seems to be going faster and faster and faster as time kind of clicks on here.
Yeah, the answer is yes to all of the above. We are involved with manufacturers, and manufacturers are keeping us abreast of, we're dealers for the manufacturers, and they keep us abreast of the changes and the components that are on there. We are involved in training. We have training that the association provides as well, and we have a network of trainers that work with us. But I think the biggest part is the networking and our ability to bring like-minded people together to talk about what works for them, what doesn't work for them, how they approach different situations. I think it's just a huge part of what our association does.
So, Scott, I think he's talking here too, basically along the lines of benefits that the members get. You got over 400 of them. Are there some benefits that are kind of more popular than others, or where do you see the users kind of gravitating towards, or what are the big selling points of joining ADS?
Sure. Thank you for this opportunity to be an advertisement for a few seconds. I love it, but it is true. As an association, we're owned by the members. And so I think one of the things I'm proudest of, and I think I'm really impressed by, is that we are a member-led association. Most of our benefits are being developed. The ideas are coming from the members. So I'm gonna kind of play off what you and Paul were just talking about here for a second and talk about one area, and then I'll just kind of give you an overview of the big four that we have. But you talk about training. You talk about this change, right? And I wasn't around for this time period, but I have so many members that have told me about when common rail really came into the sector, right? And that was a game changer for many of these fuel injection shops that really didn't have the knowledge or the tools or the training to go there. ADS developed at that time, just as an example of kind of what we have done and what we will do, is they came up with a program called Members Training Members. And they developed a whole program where they went ahead and they developed the knowledge and the training necessary, and they developed regional training programs so that as the industry evolved, the entire aftermarket was able to be there as that change was happening. And so that is part of what we call one of our big four, which is knowledge. And as we don't know what the technology is going to look like in the future. If any of us did, we would invest now and retire because we know what's going to happen here. But in terms of our big four, we offer business services to our members. We offer knowledge, networking, and savings. And I'll give you just a couple examples and quick things on this. On our business services side, we offer our members the ability to have a peer-to-peer nationwide nationwide warranty program. So where if Paul services someone at one location and they break down someplace else, they have a member-to-member thing that they can offer a nationwide warranty. We also offer an ability for anybody to go find an ADS member shop called dieselrepair.shop. And it basically promotes the entire independent network as one entity out there to promote us as a whole. Under knowledge, we already talked about training. We have what's called a drive-in service forum. Members can just post questions, and it's members answering members on that. We do a biannual compensation survey. So a company can say, hey, how much am I paying an experienced tech versus an inexperienced tech regionally to help them out? We also have an entire Ortner Foundation that we run, which offers scholarships every single year to worthy students who are entering the profession. On the networking side, you already mentioned HDAW, but we also have, right before HDAW, ADS has our own international convention, and that's really the premier place where, as you were mentioning, what is new, what's coming out into the industry, and we as the association, we have experts that help come in and help give a little bit of a glimpse at what's on the future, what's on the horizon, so members can prepare. I already mentioned our Parts Finder program under our networking side, where hard to find parts. Again, 5,000 requests go out each year. Someone has it on their shelf. They're sharing it among the network to get those customers on the road more quickly. And then under savings, we have all sorts of programs with that, including something else. And something we're about to announce is we have 2 new products that are coming out this month. One is a industry-wide training calendar. Doesn't exist right now. So I know Diesel Laptops provides training, but so many other people provide training. We are going to be the clearinghouse where everything's going to come into one area, and certain companies are offering discounts if they access it through that calendar. Again, helping out the members every way that we can.
No, that's great. And I know you've mentioned Europe earlier. You just mentioned international. And I got to say, I was on your website looking at future events. I saw a thing going on in Brazil, which I'm kind of looking at my schedule, being like, man, what if I could make Brazil? And then I saw Auto Mechanica in Germany coming up next year. Are you guys doing a lot outside the United States? Or is that an expansion area for you guys? Or what's going on outside the United States?
As Scott mentioned, we hold an annual convention every January in conjunction with HDAW. But many of our members are not going to come to that. If they're in Europe, or if they're in the Middle East, or if they're in South America, it's a long way to travel. Their currency isn't as valuable, so it's difficult for them to come to us. So we're going to go to them, and we're going to go to Brazil. We're going to go to Auto Mechanica. Whether it be in Frankfurt or Dubai, we're going to do those things to reach out to our members so that they can participate and be part of our group. So
yeah, and just last year that we didn't know what to expect. Coming off COVID, international travel was the last thing to come back, right? And a lot of the value received from ADS is event centric. You have to come to events in order to get the maximum value. The face to face, there's nothing. Webinars are fine, but face to face, there's nothing that is bigger than that. So last year we actually have an official partnership with Auto Mechanica in Frankfurt. Last year we were there. We had a bunch of our members that don't come to Texas to the show. We didn't know what to do. We hosted a reception there. Our members sponsored it. We thought we might get 30 or 40 people there. We had over 120 companies arrive, and out of that group, I'd say about 60 to 70% were ADS members. We had the head of Auto Mechanica there welcoming us as a micro group within that sector. And afterwards, we had about a dozen companies join from around the globe that became ADS members. Seeing the success of that, Paul, as part of his budget this year, we are going to Brazil, as you mentioned. We have a ton of Latin America members and potential members. And then we are about to announce we're going to Dubai later this fall. Again, it doesn't matter where our members are. We want to bring ADS to them if they're not able to come to us. And we're going to service our members the best we can.
Well, it sounds like maybe I got some international trips lined up, because I can tell you at Diesel Laptops, we've come to realize like a diesel engine's a diesel engine all over the world, right? So like, wow, our stuff actually works. And one of the big ones we have eyed up is both South America, and Australia is the other one, because there's so many North American model trucks run around Australia. So if you have Australian members, love to talk to you after the air to get introduced to them if that's a thing. But mining operations is a big key of ours that we really focus on. That's obviously big in both Australia and in South America in places. So I guess, Paul, the other one I want to talk to you about is, I mean, you're in the thick of it. You're with customers all day long, doing the things that you guys do. You're at that level. What are the big hot topics right now for companies in your situation and your size? What are the big pain points you see going on right now in the industry?
Well, I mean, there's always technicians. I mean, that's an issue that I think every every company, whether it be one like us or anybody's looking for help. That's a big problem. We're seeing some easing in the supply chain, but that's still requiring us to be, I guess, a little more innovative in finding the things that we need to find in order to get our customers, back on the road, back in the field, back in the construction industry. Those are some of the pain points. We do see continued change in the industry. That's and electric vehicles. It's my personal opinion that they'll get it right one of these days, but it's not going to be tomorrow, and it's not going to be 10 years from now. It may not be 2035. So people talk about it a lot, but it's a long way off before it's universal.
Yeah, I mean, a couple points on that, right? Like diesel technician shortage, I think everyone I talk to has the same issue, right? And for us here, it's really come down to like whenever there's a complex problem, it's not one solution, it's multiple solutions that need to happen. And I really believe having improving efficiency with technicians. If we can make them all 10% more efficient, that's like producing another 25,000 diesel technicians, right? The math works out that way. And that comes down to diagnostic tools, repair information, training, just helping them be better at their jobs. And technology is really a big key driver in that. And I think the other key to it is we need to get more people in the field quicker than a 2-year program. And I see people like American Diesel Training Centers and some of these other technologists starting to do 12-week, 16-week programs to try to get people in the field quicker as entry level. So there's, when there's problems, there's solutions and there's opportunities. And then the other one, the continued change and electrification and things that are going on there. So I know, Scott, you must get asked that all the time, right? What about EVs, electrification? What's going on there? Like I said earlier, I know we do as well with the name Diesel, the name of our company. Where's the current mindset of ADS when you guys look at the whole EV thing going on?
Yeah, well, I think, if you look at the average ADS member, and as they should, right? They're focused on today, right? They have to, they have the tech issue, getting techs and all these other things, and trying to think about what's happening with electrification. And certainly as ADS, just as we did, 7 years ago, we welcome innovation, we welcome new technologies, and as Paul mentioned, we really are focused on powertrain, as much as diesel, whatever moves these vehicles. But today, there's no doubt that diesel is what moves America. It moves the world, and diesel is what powers America and what powers the world. And it's a foundation. And we know that how long these systems last, right? They last forever. I did see I think the news was coming out this last week that California EPA just got something from the current administration to allow them to look at the EVs on the trucks. Well, I think that's fine, and we need to continue to monitor that. But if it's going to be electrification, or if it's going to be hydrogen, or who knows what is going to be something there. There's all sorts of hybrid diesel technologies that are under development. We don't know, right? We don't know where this is going. We know that they're looking at reduced emissions. What I would say is there was a story that came out, and this was right before the Super Bowl. I thought this was a great little story. EVs moving a few people, that's great, right? I believe Tesla came out with a truck, and their first customer was PepsiCo. And they were going to take that electric, semi truck and drive it across whatever duration to where the board of directors of PepsiCo is going to meet. And they did it with their first order. And they showed up and they opened up the back of the truck, and you would expect there to be, a bunch of 2-liter bottles of Coke. It wasn't. It was all potato chips, because they also make Frito-Lay, because that's what they could haul that distance.
Yeah.
Again, this is not to diminish what the role of EVs are. I think if we were here in 20 years, hopefully, right? My doctor says I'm doing okay. I think what if we open up a hood of any vehicle, it's going to look different than it does today. I don't think there's any doubt about it. But what ADS is, right? For 70 years, we've been diagnosing complex systems. We've been understanding that, in the aftermarket, we generally get it a little bit later on. We know how to diagnose, how to repair complex systems. And if all of a sudden you have a hydrogen piece of technology on there or some sort of battery technology or whatever combination, I promise you that the members of ADS are going to be there. I'm sure Diesel Laptops is going to, you're not going to sit there and let the industry just move away from you. You're going to be part of that migration. And I think that we all need to have that mindset, but realize there's plenty of business today and in the years to come as we monitor and see where this industry is going, and we're going to be there with them.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. You mentioned the EPA and the California thing. CARB really, and EPA did approve and kind of clear the path, and side note, they really couldn't deny it either. But and Paul mentioned the 2035 thing as well, and that is California saying by 2035 all 50% of all EVs got to be electric or something along those lines, right? But there's so many hurdles to that. I think EVs, certain applications, school bus, refuse, ports, they make a ton of sense. I've yet to see a good. There is no ROI on EVs. Everyone I've talked to, I've had the guys from Mac on here. I've talked to the Navistar guys. Not a single one yet has said, "Oh yeah, this is an ROI positive thing for a customer to go EV." So it's in its infancy, and I think we're all looking at it right. Like, hey, there's good business we had today. There's a thing out here. There's going to be opportunity for us. We just got to figure out where that opportunity lays. So I'll tell you what, we're gonna wrap up the episode here and everything. So Scott, maybe tell everyone what's the website, man? How do people find you or find them if they want to learn more?
It's really easy. Okay, we made it easy. Anybody can do this, right? Our web address is diesel.org. It's as simple as that. And you can, if anybody is watching is already a member, thank you for being a member. And if anybody wants to join on the service side, if you're in U.S., Canada, it's only $655 a year. And I can promise you your return, unlike on the electric side, is going to be much higher than $655. And any of our international people around the globe, it's only $325 a year. So they can also contact me at sparker@diesel.org. Be happy to talk to them. Happy to have them be part of our community. And again, thank you, Tyler, for the opportunity to participate today.
Hey, no problem. I can speak and say, hey, you guys are definitely a stand-up organization. You wouldn't be around for 70 years if you guys weren't a stand-up organization and had active members and were doing positive things that gave an ROI for people. So thank you for coming. For the audience, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Like, comment, share, subscribe. All those things help us. And as we end every episode, it's not just diagnostics. It's diagnostics done right. And part of that's being involved in the community. Be involved in those organizations that are out there to help you be a better company. And ADS definitely does that. So thank you again. We'll catch you on the next episode.